was screaming and yelling no throughout the end of the first episode, or I could say throughout almost every episode. I want to know and explore all the monsters right away, so tell us more about each Titan that we've known so far. Any interesting behind the scenes story about them?
哥吉拉回来了。延续2014年哥吉拉震撼旧金山的事件，影集《MONARCH Legacy of Monsters》是怪兽宇宙的全新续篇，也是前传，更是第一次的真人影集版。满满的巨兽肯定是粉丝最期待的。究竟除了从一开场就让边大喊好帅的哥吉拉本尊外，还有哪些泰坦怪兽呢？包边在此贴心忠告，找个越大的荧幕看，绝对爽度会爆表。
Tell us more about each Titan that we've known so far. Any interesting behind the scenes story about them? Starting with Mother Longlegs.
You know, our director Matt Shackman, cinematographer Jess Hall of our first 2 episodes, we knew we wanted to open with a big, exciting set piece. We knew we had John Goodman. We wanted to introduce Wild Bill Randa to everybody, and how do you not get emotionally involved when John Goodman's in trouble? We had this very elaborate scene kind of set and planned, and we're working to develop our VFX supervisor Sean Conrad. Everyone was planning this really spectacular thing, and then during the location scout in Hawaii, they found this magnificent vista, and we kind of had to reconfigure it because it was such a beautiful, amazing location. Everyone was like, oh, we have to shoot there. But suddenly the scene we had planned no longer worked like we had planned it. So we kind of rebuilt the scene around the location, and I mean, we had a nimble crew and a nimble cast, and everyone was used to this kind of let's take what we have and make it better. And we were able to build this remarkable sequence that really took advantage of that environment. We had John Goodman out on a cliff in Hawaii. And the scene we made was even better than the one we had been planning.
Because that was where the crab came out of that location.
I was so amused by the story that the mental claw was inspired by your location scout experience.
Yes, absolutely. When we were looking for where to film the beginning of the first episode, and we were in Hawaii, we found this incredible rock formation that felt like it belonged on Skull Island, and it jutted out into the sea. And I had a different plan in mind, that Bill Randa would run to the edge of a cliff with a waterfall, and there was going to be a big tree, and inside the tree there would be another creature that would grab him and surprise him. But when we found this other location and I went down there, I saw all these little crabs scurrying around and running away from me, and they had been blending in with the rock. And we said, aha, well, this is what we should do. We should make a monster that emerges out of the rock in the same way that the little ones had. And yes, it's really, I think, about creating monsters. What's so fun about the Monsterverse is that the monsters fit their environment, and that they're based on real creatures that are in the world.
And Mother Longlegs obviously is a character from the movie that you was initially established in Kong Skull Island. And so I think what's great about that is you get a synthesis of pre-existing, which is the spider, the bamboo spider, and something new, a new creation, an original creation that our team had come up with the show. And so you get spider versus crab.
Yeah, and you not only immediately care about the guy that's caught in the middle, but you immediately get a monster fight. You get a new monster, a little taste of an old monster, and an amazing location. It was kind of the operating process for a lot of the show.
How about the Endoswarmer? A little scary one.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, go! Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we wanted, it was, in the first episode, we didn't really want the present day story, Kate's story, to have a big monster presence in it. We wanted to sort of establish this idea that this is after G-Day. She's going through her normal life. She's dealing with post-traumatic stress. It's not a current trauma in her life. It's happened in the past. So the only time you see Godzilla are in her traumatic flashbacks, and the rest of the world is relatively normal. But we knew we needed, for this show, we needed a terrifying monster present. So the logical place for that became the flashback story. And we put our 3 characters in the flashback in jeopardy. They go to this abandoned nuclear plant and discover that it's infested with these things. And I think one of the things we liked was a sense of changing the scale, that the monsters don't need to be 300 feet tall to be scary, that they can be this big and be just as terrifying. And we joke about whenever you go into some place and there's eggs, nothing good ever comes out of eggs. Yeah. It's like don't go in there.
Stay away from the eggs.
It's going to be bad.
And we're looking at natural phenomena as part of the way that the zoology of the MonsterVerse is. There are echoes of things in our world there, and we're looking at ant bridges and the way that hive insects and swarm insects work together communally. And we pull all these pictures up of ant bridges and the idea of all of these little things working as
to reach
her in a unified shape. Like, that was something creepy and new and played with scale. It went from something very big to very small to very big. It was familiar with the universe, but it grew it in a new direction. It was a perfect, creepy, awful monster to introduce at the end of the pilot.
Creepy awful.
Yeah.
So which Titan sequence was the most difficult one for you to pull it off?
I mean, all the sequences are challenging for sure. I probably would say, just in terms of complexity, the end of episode 1 is very complicated in that it involves a very big space and lots of creatures and lots of drama and excitement. So that had, from a filmmaking standpoint, very complicated. But some of the most important scenes and the most difficult scenes in any show, and especially in this one, are the ones that are simple, the ones between people, because that's what makes the show so special, is building these characters that you love and that you root for and helping them come to life in the hands of these amazing actors.
As Godzilla itself, anything new or anything you must keep in tradition, or what could be innovative?
Godzilla, we are working with the Godzilla from the 2014 film, and then he changes a little bit after the 2014 film for King of the Monsters. His spines change and stuff like that, so we had to stick with that continuity. But one thing we were allowed to do is we get closer to his spines than we've ever gotten for the 2014 version of him. So the company that worked on that, Rising Sun Pictures, they went in and started, adding all this detail to it. We have this one shot where we track up his back. We see his head in the background, and all this water is splashing around in front of the lens. And so we were able to add dirt and damage and little bits of moss and greenery and things that have gotten caught in his fins. So that was a really exciting thing to do.
So cool. I know you were involved pretty early when you only had a couple of scripts. It's unusual for visual effects. Did that change everything for you? And I could say the results are pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's very rare for visual effects to get involved this early, and it was fantastic. We were able to drill into what was important with the writers and figure out how we were going to make scenes work. Sometimes we'd have really clear creative briefs, we want a monster that looks like a star-nosed mole mixed with a pangolin, which I know you have in Taiwan, yeah. And sometimes it would be it would be something like, we just have a ship and we need something to come out of it. So it was great to be part of it so early.
So what was the first thing you started to do?
The first thing I started to do was really just look at the scripts, break them down, look at what our action sequences were going to be, figure out if, how we were going to shoot them. And once the director got involved and production designer, then we could have conversations about okay, well, we need our creatures to be, or our heroes to be dangling off the edge of a set. But and we need it to be 50 feet high, but that's not going to be safe. So how do we plan all those things out? But really, the thing was the creature design. That was the thing that occupied a lot of our time early on, was just figuring out how do we make unique looking creatures that fit into the rest of the MonsterVerse and tell the story in an efficient way.
But to actually wrap up your work about a month ago, it took almost a year or more. So how many visual effects scenes per episode? What was the last scene you tricked or finished?
So we had around 3,000 visual effects shots across the season, which is, yeah, it's huge. We did that with 15 different visual effects companies across the planet, from Vancouver to London to Oslo to New Zealand and Adelaide, Australia. So we had all of these, like, you know, big things. The last things that we, you know, worked on, I cannot talk about because it's the biggest spoiler imaginable, but it was a really awesome little shot that we worked on.
And this time there are some legendary ones like Godzilla and some new titans. Which one was your biggest challenge?
But maybe I could leave something for the future. A legacy.